Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney video. Today I want to talk about some ways to make a little bit of extra money for a Disney World trip. If you are anything like me, you find the need to go to Disney as much as you possibly can, though sometimes your wallet doesn't always agree. And I'm not really a proponent of saying, yeah, just use your credit card, because that's just a surefire way to get yourself into debt. Don't do it. And so there are a lot of ways that you can make some extra money to kind of throw at your Disney savings and get a trip going, whether it's for you, a couple of people, whatever it might be. First, before we even get on to, how to make that extra money, I am a big proponent of, really having your savings for a vacation live in its own place. So whether that's opening up a free savings account for this, whether that is actually spending the money on Disney gift cards, so that's Disney money and that's it, you can't use it on anything else. Whatever it is, find a way to make sure that money gets set aside, is dedicated to your trip, so you're not dipping into it here and there for like, well, I could just use it for groceries this week, or I could just use it to buy a few books, pop into Barnes & Noble and saw a couple of things I want to read. Don't do that. It's really important to dedicate your savings for vacation and not touch it. So number one is probably the easiest first step to take, and that is to cut out any unnecessary expenses. This can be temporary. You don't have to cut these things out forever. It just means that for the time being that you're saving up for your next trip, there are some things that you don't really need. That might be trying to cook more rather than eating out. I know that's a really big thing that my husband and I do a lot, is we eat out a lot because we live in New York City. There's so many places to eat. Why wouldn't we? But when you start to look at how much money you're spending on that, it makes more sense to cook. Another thing that I cut out, and some of this is a little bit more permanent, is some of those subscriptions that I feel like we all kind of have. And sometimes we forget how many we have, and then we're like, oh crap, how much money am I spending every single month on Spotify and Hulu and a million other things that we have. So I think assessing those, seeing how much you really use them, and then either cutting them out completely or cutting down on plans is usually the best. And again, it can be temporary. You don't have to say goodbye to Hulu and Netflix forever, but maybe you want to for the next 4 months while you're trying to save for Disney. Another one is to get a side gig. Now there's so many things you can do, and this obviously depends on your area and what's available for you, but finding some sort of side gig that can work around maybe your full-time job is a great way to not only make extra money, but say like, okay, the money I make from this thing is solely for my Disney trip. It's not gonna be for anything else. So something that I actually do, and I've been doing for the past year, is I cat sit. I'm actually a contractor with a bigger company in my area, and we get leads monthly. They send them out to everybody and they say, who can handle this? And then when you get a client, that's your current client. So I have about 5 recurring clients that I cat sit for here and there. And then as more come in and I can take them, I try to take them. And it pays pretty well. It's pretty easy to make a trip's worth of money in about, I would say, 3 months or so, depending on how busy I am. But that's only one of a lot of things you could do. You could dog walk. There's cool things like rover.com, which has an app, and you can sign up for them as well and become a dog walker in your area. You could become a TaskRabbit, or I know that they're not everywhere, but TaskRabbit I know is definitely in New York. I know there's other apps like that where you can hire somebody to go grocery shopping for you, stand in line for you, build an IKEA desk or whatever. If that's something that you don't mind doing, is these little tasks here and there, you can sign up to do that. If you drive and you have a car and you have some time, you can be an Uber or a Lyft driver and make your own hours and do that on the side as well. Also think about what some of your skills are. Are you a good writer or a good editor? You might be able to go online on a site like Fiverr or Upwork and work for some money there. I'm not the biggest fan of those sites as like a long-term freelancing plan, but when it comes to wanting some quick cash, you can do things like that. You can be a virtual assistant if you're incredibly organized. Maybe you're a great designer. Maybe you want to offer your services to YouTubers and design thumbnails. Whatever you can think of in terms of your skills to make a little extra money is great. Maybe you're crafty and you want to open an Etsy shop. that might work too. If getting a side gig is a little bit too time consuming and you're like, I really don't have enough time, my job already works me to the bone, then consider selling your stuff. I'm a big proponent of this because I find that I go through these like cycles where I'm just like, I have too much stuff and I need to get rid of it. I'm a big fan of selling clothing. Obviously you want to make sure your clothing is not super worn, but if you have that pair of shoes that you wore 2 times to a couple of weddings, I am guilty, and is like in really good condition otherwise, you might want to sell that. If you bought a pair of pants from Loft and they were too big and then you missed the window to return them, also guilty, you might want to sell that. New with tags, I mean, that's the way to go. You can do locally, you can have a yard sale and sell them, you know, with a bunch of other things in your home. I'm a big fan of Poshmark. It's a little bit of work, more so than say eBay. Because the community is there specifically for buying and selling clothes, I find that I sell things a little bit faster than eBay. There are also sites like ThreadUp and ThreadFlip and The RealReal, which is for like if you're somebody who has more high-end designer stuff. They love taking stuff like that. They're essentially like an online consignment. There are those as well. Probably in your neighborhood there are stores that will help you sell your clothing, especially if it is, you know, a better brand or brand new or something like that. And then another thing that, you know, will sell really well is electronics. Things like cameras, old phones, just make sure you wipe your information on them. Same thing with laptops, make sure you wipe those hard drives. Video games, anything that you find you aren't using. So every like 6 months or so, I'll go through my video game collection, see if I could flip a few of those. I might sell an old camera that I used for the channel a while ago. Electronics and clothes are really great things to make some money on, and then just a really great way to, I don't know, clean out your house a little bit. I think we all have way more stuff than we probably need. So you can find that you'll probably make a few $100s just by doing that if you stick with it, and that could really go to your park ticket or your hotel room. Another cool way to make some extra money, I'm not really big on like surveys online because I don't think that they pay you very well, but what I do like are focus groups. Now this is a little more lucrative for bigger cities because a lot of them have in-person focus groups. So being in New York, there are focus groups here all the time, and they'll pay you anywhere from, you know, about $100 to sometimes $300 for just a couple of hours of your time. There are some companies where you don't have to actually be present in person. There are many that do phone interviews or at home over Skype interviews. I'm gonna put some of the ones that I think are better in the description below because there's a lot out there, and you can do them on all kinds of things. It might be a focus group about what you buy in the grocery store. It might be about your car. It might be about your entertainment choices, where you like to travel, all of that good stuff. So you can also make a few bucks that way as well. And lastly, if you are gonna use a credit card, if you're like, look, I'm just putting my trip on something, I can pay it off, it's not a big deal, make sure you're getting something back for that. Make sure it's a cashback credit card or maybe a travel card that's going to give you points that you can use for a future trip. Just be smart about how you're spending your money so you're actually getting something back for it and not just finding yourselves now owing $2,000 because you decided to go to Disney. So those are just a few ways to save money up for Disney. I do a lot of different things when I'm just like itching to get a little extra trip in there and I don't really want to go into my regular paycheck, especially because I'm a freelancer. So when I work, it's really important that I hold on to every dollar I can get. So a lot of the times my Disney trips are paid for by just extra work. I would like to know how you make money for your Disney trips. Are you selling things that you no longer need? Are you creating things that you sell? Do you have a certain skill that you use? Do you go dog walking? Whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. It might give a good idea to somebody else who's looking for a way to make some extra money. If you like this video, then like it. If you like me, you should subscribe. I make videos every single week, and we've been growing, and I love all of you new people. I love all of you old people. It's been so great to see this community super grow, and I hope that we can continue to do so. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great rest of the day. Bye.